It was a Wednesday morning when she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Her face, familiar and yet unfamiliar, told stories of love, loss, joy, and exhaustion. Lines carved by laughter and tears etched her cheeks like poetic inscriptions, and the gray at her temples shimmered like moonlight in the soft bathroom glow. She felt beautiful, sometimes. Other times she felt invisible. But today she felt something different, a deep ache. Not in her back or her knees, but in her soul. She missed being touched, desired. She missed the electricity of intimacy, the pulse that reminded her she was alive, not just functioning, not just surviving, but vividly, wildly alive. This is not a story about loss. This is a story about rediscovery, a story about sex after 50. Not the mechanical or the medical, but the metaphysical. The deeply philosophical journey into the essence of who we are when our bodies change, when our roles shift, and when the world tries to write us off. The body as a living text. By the age of 50, the body becomes a sacred manuscript. Every scar, every stretch mark, every softened curve tells a story. In youth, we are often taught that sex is about perfection, tight skin, firm muscles, youthful endurance. But with time comes a new kind of sensuality, one that is slow, deliberate, reverent. Philosopher Simone de Beauvoir once wrote about the body as both subject and object, both the thing we are and the thing we perceive. After 50, we begin to experience this duality more profoundly. We are no longer simply participants in sexuality. We become its narrators, its philosophers, its poets. Sex after 50 is not less, it is more. More tender, more knowing, more nuanced. It is where the erotic meets the existential, the weight of shame, the lightness of liberation. Cultural narratives have long painted sexuality in later life as taboo or tragic. Wrinkles, sagging skin, menopause, these are painted as enemies of desire. But what if they were rites of passage instead? What if menopause was not an end, but a transformation, a sacred shift from reproductive sexuality to expressive sexuality? Desire doesn't disappear with age. It evolves. It deepens. It requires different things: patience, vulnerability, conversation. But it remains a potent force. For many, sex after 50 becomes a return, not to the body of youth, but to the soul of authenticity. No longer bound by performance or comparison, we can begin to ask, what do I truly want? What do I need to feel connected, held, seen? Intimacy beyond the physical. When philosopher Martin Buber wrote about the I-thou relationship, he described a sacred kind of encounter, where two beings meet beyond utility, beyond ego. Sex after 50 can become this kind of encounter. Less transactional, more transcendent. Less about release, more about presence. Touch becomes language. Breath becomes communion. Silence becomes sacred. For couples who have weathered decades together, intimacy becomes a balm. For those exploring new love, it becomes a revelation. In either case, it demands a bravery that youth cannot teach, the bravery to be seen in a changing body, the bravery to ask for what we need, the bravery to still want, the politics of aging desire. There is a silent politics around aging and sex, an unspoken erasure. Older bodies are desexualized in media, ignored in discourse. But rejecting the sexuality of aging is a rejection of life itself. As long as we are alive, we are sensual. As long as we feel, we can connect. Sex after 50 is an act of resistance. It says, I am still here. I still feel. I still burn. And it is not just about intercourse. It is about intimacy in all its forms, holding hands, brushing hair back from a forehead, whispering secrets in the dark. It is about a kind of eroticism that transcends genitals and touches the soul, healing through pleasure. After a lifetime of caregiving, of raising children, building careers, managing crises, many find their 50s to be a time of reawakening. Pleasure, once postponed, becomes possible again, but it often comes with grief. Grief for the years when it was denied, suppressed, or shamed. This is where healing begins, through touch, through openness, through laughter in bed and tears after climax, through conversations that begin not with "what do you like," but with "how are you feeling?" Sex becomes a healing ritual, a reclamation of the self, spiritual eroticism. There is a kind of eroticism that is profoundly spiritual, a union of bodies and spirits, of presence and surrender. Tantric traditions have long taught that true intimacy transcends the physical. It is a blending of energies, a dissolving of boundaries. Sex after 50 can be sacred in this way. Not every time, not always, but when it happens, it is unforgettable. A slow, sacred dance. A reminder that love is not bound by time or biology. The quiet revolution, the revolution of sex after 50 is not loud. It doesn't scream in the streets. It whispers in bedrooms. It breathes between kisses. It lives in the way lovers look at each other across a dinner table, knowing more now than they ever did. This revolution is made of courage, the courage to ask, to change, to feel. It's made of women saying yes to their own bodies, men admitting their vulnerabilities, non-binary elders redefining intimacy outside of traditional scripts. It's the courage to say, I matter, my pleasure matters, my desire matters. Conclusion: the gift of becoming. To age is not to fade, it is to become, to grow into a fuller, richer, more intricate self. Sex after 50 is not a shadow of what came before. It is a sunrise in its own right. It asks different questions. It offers different answers. It teaches us to listen more deeply, more softly. It teaches us that pleasure is not a privilege of youth, but a right of being human. And in that knowing, in that sacred space between bodies and breath, we find something eternal. Not the illusion of endless youth, but the truth of timeless connection. So when she looked in the mirror that Wednesday morning, she saw herself, not as she used to be, but as she truly was, alive, whole, desired, and in that moment she smiled.